All of the cool kids are doing it. Just one try won't hurt, right? Drugs. What is so bad about them? Why do people like them so much? What's the big deal? According to drugabuse.gov, there are about 7,898 new users per day. Half of them were under the age of 18, and almost 15% of adults over the age of 26 are constant drug users. Why does it matter? To start, drugs mess with your brain. The human brain is the most complex organ in the body. This 3-pound mass of gray and white matter sits at the center of all human activity. You need it to drive a car, to enjoy a meal, to breathe, to create an artistic masterpiece, and to enjoy everyday activities. The brain regulates your body's basic functions, enables you to interpret and respond to everything you experience, and shapes your behavior. In short, your brain is you, everything you think and feel, and who you are. Drugs interfere with the way neurons send, receive, and process signals via neurotransmitters. Some drugs, such as marijuana and heroin, can activate neurons because their chemical structure mimics that of a natural neurotransmitter in the body. This allows the drugs to attach onto and activate the neurons. Although these drugs mimic the brain's own chemicals, they don't activate neurons in the same way as a natural neurotransmitter, and they lead to abnormal messages being sent through the network. When some drugs are taken, they can cause surges of these neurotransmitters much greater than the smaller bursts naturally produced in association with healthy rewards like eating, hearing, playing music, creating creative pursuits, or social interaction. This produces a false sense of happiness and affection, which is what leads people to getting addicted. Our brains are wired to increase the odds that we will repeat pleasurable activities. The neurotransmitter dopamine is central to this. Whenever the reward circuit is activated by a healthy, pleasurable experience, a burst of dopamine signals that something important is happening that needs to be remembered. This dopamine signal causes changes in neural connectivity that make it easier to repeat the activity again and again without thinking about it, leading to the formation of habits. Large surges of dopamine teach the brain to seek drugs at the expense of other, healthier goals and activities. For the brain, the difference between normal rewards and drug rewards can be likened to the difference between someone whispering into your ear and someone shouting into a microphone. Just as we turn down the volume on a radio that is too loud, the brain of someone who misuses drugs adjusts by producing fewer neurotransmitters in the reward circuit or by reducing the number of receptors that can receive signals. As a result, the person's ability to experience pleasure from naturally rewarding activities is also reduced. This is why a person who misuses drugs eventually feels flat, without motivation, lifeless, and/or depressed, and is unable to enjoy things that were previously pleasurable. Now, the person needs to keep taking drugs to experience even a normal level of reward, which only makes the problem worse, like a vicious cycle. Also, the person will often need to take larger amounts of the drug to produce the familiar high, an effect known as tolerance. The more drugs that you take, the more your brain builds up a tolerance and requires you to take more to reach the same level of high. How can we avoid drugs or getting addicted to drugs? Well, here's a short clip by the National Institute of Drug Abuse about the topic.
The question is often asked, why do some people use drugs and never get addicted? People are extremely complex, and complexity creates diversity. Each of us is a unique collection of different layers, representing our genes, brain development, parents' influence, social environment, diet, and many more. Each layer is like a slice of Swiss cheese. The areas with holes are the dangerous areas of the slice, because they can let risks go through. The areas without holes protect us, because they can block risks. For example, hanging out with friends who abuse drugs punches a huge hole in our social slice. While playing sports, learning a second language, or hanging out with friends who don't use drugs can shrink the holes in the social slice. For a drug abuse behavior to become an addiction, the risk must cross through a lot of slices. Usually, a few of our slices are solid enough to stop the addiction before it's too late. Thinking about addiction in this way helps us understand it is impossible to predict who will become addicted. However, recognizing the risks that can lead to addiction creates many opportunities to protect our future and build a healthier society.
In recent years, drugs are becoming more and more common. What will you do when you're offered drugs?